Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take another look here at Bitcoin and kind of take a look at this current candlestick that we're looking at. I think it's also important to focus on volume too, because there's a tremendous amount of volume and we need to kind of understand what that means by maybe comparing some previous time frames with high volume and kind of understanding what that could kind of be telling us, okay? So again, increased volume is typically a good sign. But of course, increased volume to the downside could kind of tell you different stories. So we'll look at that and much more. And if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. I've got a trading academy, community, and signal group. Link in the description below. Discounts for military and third world countries for low income housing. Please feel free to message me if you have questions on that. Take a look here at Bitcoin though. What's going on with Bitcoin? Okay, obviously we know the big picture. It's not looking great, but there's definitely some positive here. And let's just go ahead and highlight the positive and then, of course, cover the rest here in a moment. But generally speaking, with this volume, I wanted to kind of touch on this first, because if you take a look at this volume, we have double, almost triple the amount of volume we've seen in the last 4 days versus any time previous. Okay, and what that basically just means is when we crossed a certain point here, right at about 33,000, when we got that large candle wick down, of course there's going to be a lot of volume because people are buying and selling a whole lot. But if you see the amount of volume in the last 3 days, specifically after that price point is below, it's maintained a high level. What that basically means is that we have a strong amount of buying pressure and selling pressure at this point. So there's some that are pushing the price action down, of course, and those that feel that this is a very good value. Sub 30,000 is a good value for Bitcoin. I would agree with that sentiment. Underneath 30,000 is definitely a place to continue dollar cost averaging. We may not see these price points again, and it's just important to acknowledge that. But that being said, take a look at the volume, right? So we got the volume here for the last 4 days, significant amount of increased. And if we take just a previous look here, there's one kind of stark comparison. And again, this is slightly different because we had a super large candle wick down with that really red day back on, I think it was the 19th of May. I think we all kind of probably remember that from last year. It was like destruction day. But the following days had increased volume. So if we look at this volume here, and then of course we look at our volume here, that's an interesting correlation. And what I mean by correlation is just a simple fact of how it behaved previously after this happened. And this kind of goes together with the moving averages and some other on the larger time frames. I'll show you that in a minute. But what I'm getting at here is just that when we have an increased amount of volume here, obviously we see that, it turned around at that point. It came back inevitably after a couple of months. So under that same impression, if you take a look at this trajectory, this time frame here, after we had that large amount of volume, you could argue that we might see something similar here, right? We might see some sideways action for the next month or two at this price point, building a strong volume base, and then a bounce back to the upside. Okay, there's a strong potential of that happening just based on, of course, its history and just how volume has a tendency of kind of telling us a lot. So again, that's just a correlation. There's definitely no guarantees on that, but I do like to kind of just bring that to your attention, kind of get you to think openly here that, with the increased amount of volume here at this lower price point, that does tell us that there's less willingness for the price to want to go down. In other words, there's just as much buying pressure as there is selling pressure. Okay, so that being said, that's kind of a positive here, a silver lining. Let's take a quick look at the monthly. I want to kind of point this out as well. These are the things I was kind of just highlighting earlier. And I'll show you on a different chart here, of course, an older time frame, where we can kind of go back and see. So if just to, again, once again to reiterate, this is the 20-day simple moving average, this green line here. The price dropped down below here with a large red candle, went sideways for 2 red months, and then we saw 4 green months from there. Okay, and then what it did is it actually hugged the 100-day simple moving average. Or correction, sorry, that's a 50. The 50-day simple moving average, it was kind of riding above that, never dropped below. So the price action minus COVID has never dropped below the 50-day simple moving average on the monthly. Okay, the 50-day SMA right now is trending right around 21,000. Now, could we get a candle wick down there? Could it come down that low? Yes, that's a possibility. But should it go below that? The answer is no, it shouldn't go below that, based on, again, its history and how well we've performed. Again, there's a lot of caveats. There's real world stuff that does happen that kind of causes different changes there, just like we saw back in COVID in March of 2020. But what I'm getting at here is that we're underneath the 20-day simple moving average here, right? we're trending closer towards the 50. And last time this had happened, we spent, what was it? Once again, about 3 months, total of 2 months after that strong red candle. So just say this is a strong red candle. We could very well see, 2 more months of red, right? And then followed by some green and eventual recovery. Again, no guarantees on this. These are just patterns that you can kind of pick up on, but it's a pretty stark reality in the sense that, when the price drops below the moving average here of 20, it's almost exactly happening the same exact way here. Okay, so just something to pay attention to. Again, there's no guarantees. It definitely doesn't tell us that the price will continue down, but it does kind of give us the indication that we're likely going to continue to progress down for the next couple of months. Just kind of throwing it out there. Also, too, of course, there's a MACD divergence. There's a handful of other things, too, I'm just kind of glossing over now. I've covered that in previous videos. We'll cover it again soon. But those are just kind of some quick highlights, kind of let you know that increased volume at this price point is very helpful. And then equally as important is the fact that we're underneath that 20-day SMA on the monthly, but still above the 50 on the monthly. And that's an important thing. So again, worst case scenario, we could see 21,000, just throwing it out there. But will we see this today or tomorrow? Probably not. Again, you could have said that a couple of days ago about 27,000. So generally speaking, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these key level supports and resistances. We can see based on Fibonacci retracement, 27,000 is and currently holding as a support level. We can also see as well 29,600 as a potential resistance. That's kind of synonymous in a lot of ways with 30,000 as a round number, a previous support level. And then of course 31.5. So we got some room to travel here. We need to get back up over some key levels here to be able to have any type of potential relief rally. I still think there is a relief rally possible here because it does look like the bears are losing momentum and they're starting to effectively kind of get exhausted. Now there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and that causes a significant change where some people are extremely scared to buy right now. Totally warranted though. Most altcoins yesterday hit 25 to 35% average to the downside. It was complete insanity. So today it's nice to see kind of a bounce back here. This is kind of a good sign, but it definitely doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet. Because again, this descending trend, it'll take a while before we break that. And we just need to acknowledge the fact that we're still in a downtrend in the overall sense of things, and to take a lot of long positions right now would be disadvantageous. It's different if you take a Bitcoin long. We actually have a long open as well. But when it comes to altcoins right now, you want to be very selective and be very cautious because those are the ones that are getting hurt the hardest right now. All right. Because again, 13% day from Bitcoin, it's 26 to 40% from other coins, and it sucks. I'm sorry that is the case, but that's just kind of the way that it is right now. It's just that complete, everyone's taking as much profit as they can because they expect the price to continue to go down lower. That's essentially the concept. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some other things. Obviously, the moving averages are above the price action, never a good sign. We're stuck under 30 tentatively on the RSI. If we can close back above 30, on the RSI, we would be in good shape. That would probably require us to close at least around 30,500. So it'd be interesting to see how we can close our candlestick here today. Once again, a relief rally is probable based on the amount of overextension that we have to the downside, as well as the volume increasing. There's just a handful of reasons there too, as well as the fact that when the RSI comes down under 30, it notoriously has gone on some pretty good runs when we see that happen. Okay, so again, no guarantees there, but on the same accord, it's a higher probability of seeing a recovery here soon than it would be to see the price continue to shoot down. Again, tomorrow, if NASDAQ gaps down 5%, then of course we're going to probably see something like that. That's what happened yesterday. NASDAQ was down almost 3.5%. I think S&P was 2%, 2.5% down. It may not seem like a lot, but if you look at these larger charts, you can kind of see that there's an overall trend that is scaring the heck out of people. It's going down, all right? And this downtrend is essentially causing a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the traditional market, which translates into the secondary market of Bitcoin, okay? So just some stuff to throw out there. Doesn't necessarily mean that the sky is falling, but the overall sense of the market does influence Bitcoin. even though it shouldn't, right? That's the whole concept. But generally speaking, we're in a position right now where we just got to acknowledge we're going down, and there's different schools of thought, but on the same accord, we've been going down for some time. It has to slow down eventually. We have to see some kind of relief, and I think we're starting to see that here today, where there's some significant buying pressure between 28 and 29,000. And the price is obviously increasing here so far. So here's what we need to see. We need to see higher highs and higher lows in the 4 hour. It tried right here, but got stopped out right at about 31.8 and effectively just lost its top. Just kind of continued to go down. And at this point, we need to, I would say try to be somewhat patient, but dollar cost average wherever possible. Try not to invest in altcoins unless, of course, there's some fundamentals that you believe in long term for some of those. But the alt season right now is kind of just a distant thought for the moment, okay? That being said, taking a look here at the 4 hour, we can see we're underneath, I believe, still all moving averages. Yep. Until we can get back up above the 20, which we tried yesterday and couldn't, we don't have a leg to stand on. Okay, so again, this little push here could mean nothing if we cannot continue to start making higher highs and higher lows and get back up above that moving average. As well as the fact that we are back on the recovery here. So traditionally speaking, again, RSI under 30 on the 4 hour is very uncommon. We see it in very rare occasions. We saw it back in December and back in January essentially. So we're at that extreme low, that extreme fear. But if you look, it definitely recovered as a result of that. Are we going to see that here today? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think it's going to be that extreme. Just something to be aware of. So that's pretty much all I have here. Not much else we need to look at really truly at the smaller time frames. Honestly, we're going to be underneath the cloud if we look at the 1 hour, and we just don't really have any confirmation just yet. Okay, so waiting for confirmation. I think another 24 hours. If we can close above 30,000 today, would be fantastic. And in 24 hours from now, continue to make higher highs and higher lows on the daily, at least larger candles that are moving up. Then we should see that continue for a while until it hits a resistance level of maybe just say 33 or 35,000. There's a handful of things that needs to happen, but for right now, I wouldn't say that we should expect the price to drop dramatically, but pay attention to the market too. That's really influencing things a lot here. So I know I kind of jumped around a lot here today, but I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that we have significant amount of volume increase here. That does tell us there's going to be a lot of buying pressure. And heaven forbid the price does come down to 21, 22,000. I hope you can add to your bag at that point, because that would be a phenomenal value for Bitcoin. And just, again, something to acknowledge, 20,000, 21,000 is possible, all right? I think the probability is lower, but once again, we remain consistently surprised, right? Like I'm never, this Bitcoin never ceases to amaze me. All right, anyways, enough rambling. Sorry. I hope you learned something here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.